There is an increase in the spate of violence across Pakistan, especially after 9/11, and the suicide bombing has increased in the last 2-3 years. The first suicide bombing in the country's history was carried out in 1995 when Egyptian embassy in Islamabad was targeted by an explosive-laden vehicle, resulting in the death of at least 14 people. The next suicide bombing occurred in Pakistan in 2002 when French engineers were targeted in Karachi, resulting in the death of 14 people, including 11 French engineers. Since that time, the data shows that the number of suicide attacks have increased. In 2002, only 2 suicide bombings occurred, which resulted in the death of at least 14 people, while in 2008, at least 59 suicide bombings have left at least 852 people dead, including 712 civilians and 140 security personnel. While in 2009, so far, at least 74 suicide bombings have occurred across the country, most of them in NWFP and FATA, resulting in the death of more than 3,000 people. In most of these suicide bombings, we have seen the teenage and the youngsters were used by the militants, and also they were trained in their training camps in FATA across Waziristan, also in Bajod agency. And in a recent visit to Waziristan, a Taliban paradise through which they motivated those youngsters. We have a number of stories. Today we would be talking to 2 such potential suicide bombers who had different stories to tell. One is Usman from Bajod agency, while other is Ikram from Lower Deed district, who once were perhaps ready to do a suicide bombing, or they were forced into doing a suicide bombing. We will be talking first to Usman, that what motivated him to go for the suicide bombing and why he is repentant now. What is your age and what is your father's occupation?
I'm 14 years old and we are 7 brothers. My father is a locksmith.
In what circumstances did you get ready for a suicide bombing and attempt a suicide attack?
They tricked me into coming to them. They told me that they have my father in their custody and would kill him, saying if I wished to meet him before he died, I would have to come to where they were. When I reached the Bandi Markaz in Maman, my father was not there. They ordered me to carry out a suicide bombing, threatening to kill me, but I refused, after which they tied me up and thrashed me severely. After some time, I agreed. Then they started telling me about the privileges and comforts of the divine world and about the heavenly maidens I would receive in reward for carrying out an attack. But I refused again. After that, they started intoxicating me with drugs and pills. After taking those pills, I could not remember anything except the orders they gave me that night. They handed me over to Maulvi Fakir, who further persuaded me to carry out an attack, telling me about the perks and privileges I would receive. They did not allow me to offer prayers, saying that my act would grant me a place in paradise and there was no need for prayers.
Which major Taliban leaders did you meet and what did they say to you?
I first met Abdullah, who then handed me over to Fakir. Fakir then handed me over to Maulvi Umar. Maulvi Umar also persuaded me to carry out a suicide bombing with the same promises and assurances.
Did you ask them why they themselves did not carry out attacks if they believed it would promise them a place in heaven?
I had asked them this initially, but they thrashed me so severely that I could not repeat such questions in future.
What other religious obligations did you perform when you were there?
I was kept alone in a room and was not allowed to offer prayers because they said there was no need, because I would be going to heaven anyway. I was kept in custody for 8 days and not allowed to offer prayers.
People say the parents of suicide bombers are paid by militants. Had they promised your parents any money?
They told me they would give ₹500,000 to my father, but I told them I would give them ₹1,000,000 myself to carry out the attack. They thrashed me badly and I wasn't able to speak to them again.
You said they drugged you. Did this prepare you for the attacks, or were there other reasons?
I was brainwashed, given pills and motivated, and there was nothing else in my mind except the heavenly gains which I was supposed to get in life after death. They drugged me at night, and I would remain asleep all day until the next dose of pills in the night. There would be regular sermons while I was drugged until my mind was filled with nothing else except the heavenly maidens and other gains. Then he asked me to put on the suicide jacket, which was a bit long. He then had it altered to fit me and asked me to go to the mosque in Mamand area where I was to detonate the bomb. The Friday prayers were being offered at the mosque of Malik Rahmat Khan, who himself was a religious and noble person. As I saw people offering their prayers, I thought about the innocent people who were going to be killed if I carried out the blast, so I decided to return without doing it. When I returned, Maulvi Umar asked me why I didn't do it. He then thrashed me and abused me and handed me over to Sheena, who is another militant commander. I eventually escaped from his custody and went to Mardan. They kept searching for me and also went to my house. Upon my return to Bajor, I was arrested by security forces.
What kind of training did they give you to carry out the attack?
They told me about the heavenly gifts and blessings I would get. They also told me that the people opposing the Taliban are enemies of Islam, who want to weaken Islam and destroy our religious norms and traditions.
Innocent people are also being killed in such suicide attacks. Do you think these suicide bombings are justified?
No, it is not justified.
If it's wrong, then why do people like yourself prepare to carry out these attacks? As I have mentioned, more than 74 suicide attacks have occurred across the country, so far killing many people.
The militants take away children by deception, brainwash them to prepare for the suicide attacks by giving them drugs and persuading them of the blessings they will receive.
How many children were there with you?
There were two others, one from Shandi and the other from Mamand village.
Where had they kept you? In Khar or somewhere else?
No, I was in Mamand, in Banda Markaz, which is under militant control.
What messages you would like to give to these suicide bombers? Is it right or wrong? Should they continue or stop?
They should stop carrying out such suicide attacks. It's unjustified and will only land them in hell.
Do you remember anyone who has carried out a suicide bombing before you?
No, I don't remember any such person.
Where are those two children who were trained with you? Did they